As you can see here, I've got these micro tools for creators. Now, what happened was last Saturday morning, I was running into the thing. A bunch of you have been to the seminars that I did on Nano Banana. So you know that Nano Banana has this flaw where it won't let you do images in whatever size you want. We very often want wide images or narrow images, but it defaults to square images unless you trick it. And so I got fed up with that, not being able to get the image sizes I want. So I said, well, I wonder if I could build a little tool that would force it to make whatever image size I wanted. And so I went to, in this case, Google Gemini. Pretty sure it was Gemini. Yeah, what actually happened, and I'm kind of going to walk you through the sequence that I went through to create these apps so that you can see how easy it is and how you can do it for yourself. And then we'll do some other stuff. But basically, so what I found out was that if you uploaded a file that was the exact dimensions that you wanted your output file to be. So let's say Nano Banana is going to go to a square automatically, but you want a widescreen thing for a video or for whatever you want it for. I found out if you created a transparent PNG of the exact dimensions you wanted and fed that into Nano Banana, then it would obey you. So I thought, well, why don't I just make a tool that creates these different sized images for me. So I asked Gemini, I just said simple, create a minimalist web-based tool that generates transparent PNG files with user-specified aspect ratios. Oh, actually, I've got something to explain here. This is going to look horrible because at this point, I didn't realize that the prompts could be much, much shorter. So I think I asked ChatGPT for a prompt for it, and it gave me this long, complicated prompt. But I found out, as you'll see in the following ones, that you don't need to do that at all. But anyway, so I did this prompt where I just told it exactly what I wanted this tool to do. And Gemini said, I'd be happy to create that for you. So I said, oh, okay, this is promising. And then a few seconds later, I mean, literally a few seconds later, here it was done. And I went, whoa, that was simple. Yeah. So it created this tool, and I can tell it, I can click these buttons and tell it exactly what size I want, or I can make it custom size. And once I've chosen my size, I just go download transparent PNG, and it creates the transparent PNG for me. And then I'll show you how that works. We'll go into Google AI Studio. So here in Google AI Studio, which is where you get the best way to get Nano Banana, because you can get so many different generations from it, and it's the highest quality version. So we go try Nano Banana, and if I take my transparent image and drag it into this space, you see there, it's got this image. It works when you make this the last thing that you put into Nano Banana. So let's create something. I'm going to say, okay, now I'm going to save it. And I'm going to upload my transparent. And I'm going to say, make the kitten. So you see, what it did now is it took that square image, and it took this as its reference, and it filled in the sides in terms of what its figures should be there. So basically the idea is you just put in your image first, put in the transparent image last of the size you want, and then tell it what to do. So anyway, going back to Gemini, so what actually happened was when I first tried it, like I say, it did it in a split second. But when I first tried it, the preset buttons that you see over here didn't actually do anything. So I said, well, okay, thanks, it works, except the preset aspect ratio buttons don't do anything. And Gemini immediately said, I've reviewed the document and I see the issue, explained what was going wrong and fixed it. And sure enough, it was fixed. So by this time, I was going, well, this is pretty easy to create an app, because all you do is tell Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude exactly what you want. So then I said, actually, what happened was I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to tell me what are some other simple but annoying problems that many creators, marketers, or everyday users encounter, each of which you could solve beautifully with a quick Vive Code micro app. And it came up with, actually it came up with 10, I think. Yeah. It was funny, it said bonus ideas if you want 12 total, although by my calculation 6 and 4 is 10, not 12. But anyway, so having found the different things, I chose one of them and I went back to Gemini and I said, can you build a simple converter app that can convert image file formats such as WebP, HEIC, which is a Mac format, and AVIF, which is God knows what format, but every now and again, especially if I'm building a website or something, people will send me files with HEICs and AVIFs, and they're really hard to open or do anything with because so many image editing programs don't accept them. So Gemini very kindly said, I can certainly create that for you. And then a split second later, here was the file. And there it is. And actually, I'm going to go back to what I asked for because there's a little bit more to it. I opened it and immediately realized that I wanted to be able to drag and drop my images onto it because it's faster. And it said, that's a great idea, adding drag and drop functionality. It's not hard at all. And it went ahead and told me what it was doing, and then it actually did it. And so actually, I'm going to put in an AVIF file. So what it does is it opens the file. It doesn't care what it is. It opens it. And then if I click download as JPEG, it opens here. And I go save, and here is the same file as a JPEG. So now I can work with it in any image editors, put it on the web much more easily than in its original format. So that just saves me some time. So that one was very quick. I mean, it took maybe a couple of minutes to build. So then I went back to ChatGPT and I said, okay, so I'm going to skip some of this part of this. This is where I just asked it to, could it build any of these 10 apps that it had recommended? And it did. Well, basically it gave me a table saying, yes, it could build it, and gave me some notes and some useful information for me. Now, it says here, yes, via API. Anybody here not know what an API is? Let me open the chat so I can see. And you can open your mics and speak as well.
I don't.
Okay, good. Oh, I just saw the chat that there's a lot of stuff in the chat that I hadn't seen before, so I'll check that in a moment and answer it. Okay, to you guys, or guy, who said you don't know what an API is. An API stands for Application Programming Interface. And basically it's just a way whereby you can connect one app to another and they can talk to each other and send messages back or send information back and forth. So with this thing, I wanted to see what I could build without getting involved with that because it's a little bit trickier. Not impossible. I've actually done a bunch of them in other vibe coding apps, but I wanted to see what I could just do very simply in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. So it told me here, and it was like 80% of them could be done. So it suggested as a starting point bulk image resizer. So I decided to try that one. Okay, I'm just going to check what the questions in the chat. Is this what we were trying to solve for here? It's tricky and not fully supported to force Nano Banana to produce non-square images. Yeah,
I'm good, Tony. I was asked and answered. I joined a couple minutes late and I was trying to get the thread of what you were on about, but I'm all good. I've got my answer. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And the trick is to make sure that you put the size you want as the last thing you. That's one of you mentioned there are other methods. When I wrote this, there weren't any other methods. Now there are, and most of them are based on the idea which I mentioned in my demo of putting it in last, the size you want. Okay, so I'm going to go to Image Resizer. And this was interesting because it said, yes, I can build that. And then it asked me, did I want it as just the code or a zip of the working app? And I said, I'll take the working app, please. And a few seconds later, there it was. And I ran it and immediately got this error message with a big warning. And I got really scared. But no, I'm kidding. So I just said, I just finished putting it through its paces. Everything works great, except for one little glitch at the end. See the attached error message I get about having an incorrect extension. Is there anything we can do to fix that? And that, by the way, is another thing that saves a lot of time when trying to debug any of these things with these different language models, is give them screenshots. It saves a great deal of time and they get exactly what's going on. So it figured out what was going on and it fixed it and asked me if I wanted to generate a new one with the patch, and I said yes. I forgot to mention at the beginning why I'm doing this. Sometimes if you're building a website, particularly if you're doing a gallery of different images, sometimes the client will give you a dozen or 100, a whole bunch of different images, and they're all different sizes, different dimensions, and you need them all to be the same dimensions. Now, there's lots of ways that, you can do that manually or in bulk, but I just decided to have a little app that could do it whenever I needed it. So that's what this does. So I made it again drag and drop. I could either choose the file or drag it. I'm going to use this one. I can tell it the percent of resizing I want. So let's go to 20%. Because taking a file down to 20% of its original size should be pretty bad, quality-wise. I can choose my output format, but I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to keep the quality level as high as I can. I could do 100, but it's not feasible. I'm going to put it to 90, and then I'm going to say resize and download. So here it is, and I'm going to open it. And before I show you it, I'm going to show you the original. So here's the original image. So you see, for a web thing, it's pretty big, right? But this is what the bulk image. So here it's resized to 20%, but it still maintained the quality of the original very close. So that's, for me at least, a useful little tool. Then there was another thing that I really wanted, which was sometimes people will send images that are fine in terms of dimensions, but they're way too big in terms of a file size, and they take forever to load on a web page. So I asked it to build a lossless image compressor, a thing that would keep the image looking exactly the same, but was way smaller in file size. And it created this. And I'm just going to check and see if there were anything. There was one coming up where it was very messy. Yeah, this one was fine. So with this one, if I take this file and I say I'm going to keep it the same format and keep the quality good and then compress it and download it. So I'm going to save it. So this is the compressed version, and that's the original version. It's a tiny fraction of the original size of that image, and it does a great job.
May I ask a question, Tony?
Sure.
When you drag and drop and choose files and upload, where I'm looking at your C drive, where are you actually uploading it to? Is it doing it on locally on your own computer, or are you uploading it to the cloud?
Good question. In this instance, when I when ChatGPT asked me how do I want to access these, did I want to do them in the cloud on a web app, or did I want to have them locally on my hard drive? Since I'd be mostly working with files on my hard drive, I said, yeah, just make them standalone that I can use myself. I could put them on the web, but I chose not to. So yeah, in this instance, they're on my hard drive.
So if you were working with something sensitive like driver's licenses or marriage certificates or something, this would be the way to go, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Good question. Okay, the next one was, and I'm going to show you a couple more, and then we'll go to something else. So then what this was, sometimes I'm on a website and I see a font that I really like, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know the details about it. So I said, can you build me an app that will enable me to find out what the fonts are very easily? I know there are other programs that exist for all these things, but I just wanted my own. And it was really a test to see what I could build in a Saturday morning and have for free, because a lot of these tools are not free, usually. Some are. So I said, yeah, build me this web page font identifier. And I wonder if this is the one that gave me a hard time. Oh, actually, no, this was the one that gave me a hard time. It wouldn't enable me to change the quality level, the last one, the Lossless Image Compressor. So we went back and forth with it quite a number of times before it finally fixed it. But it was like pulling teeth for a while. Okay, Susan says, I did make a couple of apps. One edits a spreadsheet and massages the format, columns, etc. After some back and forth with ChatGPT, they wrote me a Python script that I can run as wanted. Good, good. Yeah, absolutely. It can do all of that. I'm going to open up the font inspector and I'll show you what it does. What's different about this font inspector is that it created this button and it said take this button and drag it up into your bar up here, and then it'll be available to you whenever you want. I'll try Yahoo in case. There it is. So now anything I put my cursor on, you see how it's changing on the right? It shows me the font size, the font weight, the line height, the color, background color, bunches of different things for different fonts. This one's smaller. This one's 20 pixels. This one's 15 pixels. You see how it's all changing up here? So it just gives me the information so I can tell which fonts are which. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the last one, which is kind of a simple one. It's a screenshot to PDF. So I drag in this PNG file, and then I say convert it to a PDF. And if I click on it and open it, it's now a PDF. So basically all I'm trying to show tonight is the fact that you can tell ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or any of these tools what you want it to create, and in most cases it can create it, at least in my experience so far. So those were the 6 that I started with, because they just happened to be things that I personally needed. And I also, at the end, I also asked it to build that page that we were just looking at, and it did that too. It built this, and it was pretty quick and pretty easy. And so I'm just going to get the chat window back so that I can see what has happened in the time that we were doing all this. And then I'm going to open it up for questions. Ruth says, I have a PDF from a client, and whatthefont.com cannot definitively identify the sans serif font, and the client has not record of what it is. Yeah, this one, I had the choice of building it for web pages, documents, and some other thing that I forget. Oh, images, to extract the text from images. But that needed API, so I decided not to do that. But yeah, you could very easily build a little app like this that could take your PDF and find the font You just tell ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude what you want it to do. Susan says, the other created a Google My Map for me with vacation plans color-coded. Oh, good. Ruth says, does the font identify load a PDF? No, I could build that, and so could you now, hopefully. But mine is just for web pages, the one that I built, because that's what I needed it for. Yeah, exactly. You could essentially build your own what the font. Okay. So, any questions? Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. And let me get you so that I can see you again. Because when I was doing all this, I was talking blind. I couldn't see the chat and I couldn't see you. So let me fix that. Okay, now I can see all your pretty faces. And I can see the chat. So, is this something you guys can use, follow how to use it, and something you could build your own micro apps with? Okay, what kind of apps might you build?
Not sure at that point. I have to monkey around with it to basically help, expedite my writing, maybe I don't know,
Yeah, you
translation, organizing.
Sure, just look for anything that, takes time that you'd rather have done quicker or have automated. Now Ruth is coming up with the smart ones. She says a winning lottery number predictor. Oh, and she's also going to build one that can get her George Clooney's cell phone number. Okay, so any questions on what we did or how to do it or how not to do it? And what I did was not necessarily the best way of doing it. It was just what worked for me one Saturday morning a couple of weeks ago.
It's basically you ask the question and filter through the answers until you have the product.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it gave me like 10 suggestions, and it said it could build all of them. Now, Joan says, is there similar ways to build tools for video? I haven't tried doing that with these language models. I've done it with tools like Replit and Lovable, and they can do that very easily, but they do have to hook into the API of the video tool, like Kling or Cdance or those kind of things.
Hi, can you share those again? What are those two apps that you use?
Lovable and Replit.
Replit?
Yeah, and I'm going to be giving a webinar on those, on proper vibe coding, because they build the most amazing, they build full-blown apps that are just like, full-blown programs that in the past would have taken a developer 3 months to build. You can build in a couple of hours. It's just phenomenal. And I've done it, literally. I've built 2 apps that just, I couldn't believe that it built them, but it did.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Amium has a tricky question here. It says, I've asked Nano Banana for one modern coastal home rendered on 6 different drone angles of the lot. I got the first one. I'm working to get it to the next, yet I'm out of free credits. Amium, which program are you using to access Nano Banana?
Google API,
Google
AI Studio,
What?
AI Studio.
Wow, that's yeah, that's unusual because I've used it for numerous generations and I've never run out. Have you been using it for like many hours or something, or many images?
The images are professional photography, so maybe I need to screenshot those or get them down to a size which could utilize your tool to do that.
Yeah,
I asked it to have I did not have the problem because I prompted it with the right size aspect ratio of the land, and I asked it not to change land at all, but to make a modern coastal home. But then I wanted it in multiple sides, and I'm thinking maybe an API to do that would be better, or something. I don't know if that's more sophisticated than it can do at this time.
maybe. I built a front end for Nano Banana that I'm going to be putting in the AI Connection Club next month. And I built that in Replit, and I had to use the API to do that. But that certainly, I've never run out of credits with that. So maybe. But I'm surprised that you ran out of credits in Google AI Studio because I haven't managed to do that. But as you
It's
say,
34,800. It was the first thing I did in there since I saw your Nano Banana. So I don't know. Maybe the image resolution is way too high.
maybe. Okay,
Thank you.
Ruth says lovable is great. That's true. And Ruth has been researching how to make video avatars that speak American Sign Language. Wow. Know any apart from DeepL I should be looking at? No, I've been looking recently at a bunch of different video avatars that speak different languages, but I've never seen one that speaks sign language. That's a brilliant application. I wonder if it exists. Well, you say that DeepL does. Ruth, is that one that does exist? Seems to. Good. Very interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, DeepL seems to be a really high-end language translator. So we get X amount of videos a week for a client who does proctoring and certification for everything except pilot's licenses for like 46 countries. And so not just their sales materials, but their training materials all have to be in 14, 20 languages and whatever. And we, as you know, do ADA compliance for websites. And so I'm like, well, if I'm training to be a hairdresser in Nigeria and my training video is not in international or American Sign Language, do I have to sit there and read all of the PowerPoints that come with it? Can't they just give me a video that's speaking to me? And that's what I'm trying to solve for at the moment.
Wow.
So if anybody in the club comes across anything, just,
Yeah, I'll definitely keep my eyes
drop
and
it to
ears
Tony, because I think that could be a huge burgeoning actual business for people converting all of the existing content that's on YouTube into avatars and ASL and American Sign Language Internet. I mean, there's,
Wow.
14 different sign languages, but ASL and ISL are the two main ones that I'm trying to find an avatar
Wow.
that looks like a local person who can do all the hand movements in whatever that language is.
Wow, that would be amazing. Have you asked Manus if it knows of such a thing?
MANUS, Manus?
Manus, yeah, manus.im.
Oh,
It's
again, that's why I'm here, because you're the guru.
Thanks. Yeah, it's phenomenal for deep research.
Okay. But I think, we're at a place now where people with disabilities shouldn't be locked out of the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I
thank
think
you.
that's a brilliant application.
All right. I'm on it. If I find the keys, I'll let you guys know.
Great. Okay, any other questions, either in the chat or through microphones?
Okay, Tony, I just want to verify that this can be done Google AI Studio with Gemini without an API.
All the ones that I showed tonight, and there's many more that you could do, they were all done without an API. 2 of them were done in Gemini and 4 of them were done in ChatGPT. I could also have done some in Claude, but after I'd done 6, I decided it was time to have breakfast in the middle of the afternoon. Okay. Herman, I'm curious about something. You're an actual real-life programmer, right? I mean, you've been doing programming since before I was born. I mean, I'm kidding, but you've been doing programming a long time. Have you gotten into vibe coding at all, or do you still do everything by hand?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so first of all, I want to say one quick project that I now see your app builder. I would probably want to build something where I can just click on a URL in YouTube and then have instantly that thing converted into a summary. So instead of having to watch the entire YouTube video, it would just grab the transcript and then submit that to one of the LLMs and then have it made into a summary. So that will be a brilliant time saver for just about any video, because most videos you can figure out just by getting the summary.
Oh, absolutely. I usually just dump them into Notebook LM and it gives me the summary right there and enables me to chat with it. But yeah, you could easily build a little app that would do that for you.
Notebook LLM. Yeah, anyway, that's probably the first thing I'm going to try there with the automatic app building. I am using AI right now for doing certain types of things in my existing applications. I'm using a fairly old programming language, And the amazing thing is the modern AI can work perfectly with the old language.
Wow.
Because, I mean, it has tons of experience with it. Also, my old language is very concise. One doesn't need hundreds of lines for stuff, but often gets by with 10 lines or 20. And so then AI can be much better oriented in doing intelligent programming. So I have it often that I have a screen and I think, okay, this part is difficult to do. Let's get AI to do that part. And so there's more and more AI generated code that goes into my system.
Wow, that's very cool.
At some point, I have to show to the group my accelerator AI. It's not yet quite ready because I think we want to create a kind of a freebie version as well, where people can just type in a URL of their website, their business website, and then it will automatically make that into a quiz or survey for potential clients so that then they can be connected to, and one gets in touch with the clients by having them do a survey about what you're selling, and that will be quite an interesting product. That, I think, as soon as that's ready, I'll let you know.
Great, thank you. Okay, so it's almost 8 o'clock. Thank you all very much for attending, and unless there are any more questions, we'll wrap it up.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. My final one
I'm
is
good.
the page that we're looking at of all the apps you built, the Nano Banana to the screenshot PDF, that's living on your hard drive. If you wanted to build these kind of apps and then launch them on an actual website, how do you get the source? Do you just go view source and then turn the HTML into a web page and launch it?
Well, with ChatGPT, you can actually say, actually, no, in this instance, it did it. I asked it to build it as an HTML file. You see up here?
Right.
And so,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, you can just put it on the web in the normal way because it's HTML.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's just an index page. You buy a .com and attach it, and some payment rails, and there you go. Okay.
Okay. Amium,
Fabulous.
you're welcome. Amium says, thank you, Tony. Are these available on AI Connection Club? They will be, not just yet, because I'm busy building all the interfaces to all the new video and image generators that we're going to build in for members. So once again, thank you all very much, and thanks for all your interactions and interactivity and for being a very smart audience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Good
We're
night,
just
everybody.
limited by our
Tony.
imaginations.
That's true.
That's right, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.